Did you see the details of his
Let's
contract?
talk. Let's talk about this very quickly. Go
Okay.
through some of these details.
He gets he gets 2 cars. He
Yes.
gets his contract is paid to his LLC, so he writes off all of his agent fees, which I thought was really interesting. I've never heard of anybody doing that.
Lots of coaches do that.
And then he gets a country club membership. And I almost tweeted this out, but I was like, I don't really feel like explaining this because it was going to be poorly worded. But what if he gets like theoretically fired? What happens with the country club membership? Like, does he get to keep it till the end of the contract? Does he like, is he no longer allowed to show up and he just gets his buy? Like how does that work? That's the one thing that kind of
Well, I think if he's
up.
losing in Austin, he won't be worried about going to the country club because too many people will run him out of there anyway. You know what that's really for. That's for his wife. That's for his family. That ain't for him. He ain't going to be in no damn country club. Maybe when he's done at night, he goes and has, supper with his wife at the country club.
Going golfing, I'm sure. I mean, a lot of these coaches golf in the off season.
Fine, whatever. But you know what I mean. I mean, other than some golf here and there, he ain't going to be there. Steve Sarkisian, these guys will frequent it because the big boosters roll around there and they need their money.
Well, that's what I thought of, is that some booster probably gets him in, easy scot-free, and then it helps him stay in contact with everybody that he needs to stay in contact with, maybe recruit some future boosters. But the amount that he's getting paid, plus the 2 cars, plus the private jet, plus the country club membership, is absolutely ridiculous. I would love for somebody to put together an article. I'm not an investigative reporter or not investigative, just a reporter in general or a journalist. I would love for somebody to put together an article of the craziest college football contract additional incentives, because
got to be Lincoln Riley.
I wonder what his compares to.
Yeah, but they're a private institution, so they don't have to release everything. I think it was $10 million for a house or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. He also got a private jet. But, Joe, what do you think about them extending Steve Sarkisian? I mean, this is a no-brainer. I feel like you got to extend him, that you make the playoff. Look, for what it's worth, okay, he has been the most – I mean, look, they've had some success here and there. I know they don't want to probably – for me to talk about some of their old coaches that they've had in the last decade, but Sark has definitely been the best that they've had. This is a no-brainer for them. And look, solidifying their guy, because look, what happens in 3 years? What happens in 2 years? Hell, what happens next year if a big-time program opens up or even something happens in the NFL and somebody wants to come knocking for Sarkisian? I mean, you lock him up so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think keeping him and locking him in was necessary, especially for the fact that this is the best that they've ever been in the past 2 decades since the end of Mac Brown's tenure as the coach. They haven't even come close, like anywhere within sniffing distance of winning a Big 12 championship game, being and getting to a national championship winning position. They were great, and then coming into this next year, they're potentially going to be even better, which is insane to say. But if Nick Saban doesn't retire, his extension does not look anything like this. His extension is not nearly as long. He does not get all the extra perks. He does not get as much money. I think that he had so much, him and Jimmy Sexton had so much negotiating power because of the Saban retirement.
I agree.
Despite what anyone wants to say, he was one of the people that was brought up and called about this. He was on the table. They had negotiation capabilities here to win this, and they got every last drop that they could have gotten out of Texas. So he owes Nick Saban a huge thank you for all the money that he just got.
Well, no, really he owes Sexton, because every Sexton client got paid more.
Yeah, I mean, they all need to thank Saban and Sexton for
I think it's just Jimmy. I mean, because they would have gotten extensions, but probably not to this extent. I mean, Mike Martell got, the extension that he did. Joe, I mean, look, Texas did have some success under Tom Herman when he was there, but obviously not the success that they're having right now under Sarkisian. I don't want to play devil's advocate here because, I could say, well, look, he made a playoff what happens when he goes into the SEC. You know, it's going to get tougher for him going into a conference where you're playing you're just basically in a juggernaut every week.
Yeah.
But they got to do it. I mean, he got you to the 14 playoff, regardless that you lost to Washington. And look, I know that some Texas fans weren't happy with that, but he got you there, and he's going to continue to get you there because I think that they're one of the 12 best teams in the country, and they will be in the playoff again next year. So in back-to-back years, he's gotten you to the playoff. The one thing that I do worry about is when you give these massive extensions to guys who haven't won stuff, okay, at your program, sometimes it could fall flat on the face. But I mean, it doesn't really matter at Texas when you got your rival school now that you're going to be playing every year in A&M paying $75 million for a guy to go. What will Texas do? So I don't really think that. Look, you keep him here, nobody's going to come and get him, and I think it's a good extension.
Yeah, I'm not going to push back on it. Right, that's where this is ultimately like a weird conversation to have because deserving of the extension, absolutely. It just would have looked so much differently if Nick Saban was still coaching in Alabama right now. The numbers would not nearly be where they are.
Well, I mean, look, for all the things that have been rumored around Sark since he's been at Texas, the hotel room being one.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.